Ladies and gentlemen, now today the most controversial Google spreadsheet has returned for its October update. Now in today's video we're going to be talking about all the new features added in October. So we've got the introduction of both Apocalypse and Professor X. We also have a couple of promotions, probably very well deserved and a little bit overdue, for both Black Widow Clairvoyant and Elsa Bloodstone. And finally the most exciting feature, the brand new horse icon to indicate that a champion is God tier or beyond God tier with the Apocalypse Horseman buff. So yeah, we have a fair amount to talk about today, but before we start I want to give out that super fun standard tier list disclaimer that this is intended to be a rough guide to what I personally believe are some of the best characters in Marvel Contest of Champions overall. And as you can see, the game is incredibly complicated. There are almost 200 characters now, there are so many different modes of gameplay, so many different matchups, so many different nodes, so it's impossible to say that this character is always better than this character, but hopefully this gives you a rough guide to what I personally believe overall are some of the most valuable champions. And again, end of the day, this isn't fact, this is just my opinion, and if you want to have a different opinion on characters, that is perfectly fine as well. This is just intended once again as a rough guide. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's have a chat about the two brand new September champions. We've got Apocalypse and Professor X, and both of these characters, man, are just crazy. Like, they're really good characters by themselves, but they're also packed with synergies that buff up pretty much the entire mutant class, and also Professor X's synergies extend to X-Men characters as well, like Phoenix and Magic, and I believe Longshot as well. So yeah, both characters are not only ridiculous, but they make already existing ridiculous mutant characters even more ridiculous. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about today, but both of them are going to be starting in the solid God tier. Now the first one, Apocalypse, I think has strong potential at some point to be promoted to beyond God tier, but I always like to come in a little bit more conservatively with a ranking, and I think solid God tier is the perfect starting point for him. I kind of want to give him like a couple of months to prove himself that he is worthy of that Beyond God tier promotion, but I think if you factor in all of the synergies, especially with the Horseman buff ability, like, he's probably easily bringing that Beyond God tier level of value to your roster. So yeah, what does Apocalypse do and why is he so good? So first off, on the character, he's kind of like a mutant version of Warlock in terms of the amount of utility that he provides. He's just got so much different stuff for all sorts of scenarios. So he's got immunity to bleed, incinerate, and also disorient. He also counters nodes and characters that remove debuffs. So for example, nodes like Masochism, Shrug Off, Tenacity, characters like Crossbones, Kingpin, Agent Venom. Also, he has very hard-hitting special attacks and really good damage output once he's ramped up, and it's like 1 special 2, 1 special 1 in order to get into his full ramp up there. Also, one massive pro for this character is he doesn't need to be awakened to be a really good character. The awakened ability regenerates Apocalypse whenever teammates win fights. So if you put him on the bench for a couple of fights, he can like pretty much fully heal up. The regeneration's really strong there. So yeah, it's a nice bonus, but it's not needed. All of the good stuff is on the character even unawakened. So yeah, 1 copy, man, 1 6-star, 5-star, 4-star, and you've already got an exceptional champion there. Also, when he's attacking into block, he can break through and stun the opponent, and then medium attack and then chain on a full combo there. This is really fun for like an aggressive play style, and yeah, it's just such a great perk of the character, man. So yeah, I really enjoy that ability. It's super fun utility there and just allows you for easier ins. It does have a 12-second cooldown, but again, that really isn't too long there. He also does have an evade counter for longer quests, so every time the opponent evades, it reduces the chance for future evades in the rest of the quest by 10%. So you have like 10 evades, and then opponents can never evade Apocalypse again. So in longer scenarios like Labyrinth of Legends, for example, and also heavier evade quest, might be a really good piece of utility to have there. He also has bleed on his heavy attacks to refresh debuffs, but also has the additional bleed utility in certain matchups like Invisible Woman, where you put like the invisibility on cooldown as well. So yeah, that can be really useful. So the special 1 and special 2, they apply a lot of debuffs, but after the special 3, it doubles the debuffs potency and also gives them infinite duration as well. So after the special 3, you have a permanent minus 50% attack reduction on the opponent, minus 70% ability accuracy reduction, and also a massive degeneration and poison. that's just constantly dealing passive damage. So it's kind of like having like a fully ramped up Void after you've got the special 3. So yeah, it really is nuts. Like everything coming together, man, just makes him an absolute beast to get through all sorts of nodes and scenarios. So yeah, that's just what he has as a character, but then he's got his Horseman ability as well. So you can expend some of his pre-fight charges, and you can use this on any mutant for a massive buff. It gives them a prowess buff. It also gives them additional ability accuracy, full immunity to bleed. In terms of a damage reduction, so the bleeds still apply to you, but you take no damage from them. And this does really, really good synergy with so many mutant characters in the willpower mastery, because it pretty much gives you know, any Horseman mutant like free healing from the willpower mastery there when they do have a bleed on them, but it also has additional synergies with Storm, Pyramid X, Wolverine, Archangel, and Psylocke in particular that just make all of these characters crazy. Like Storm, Cable, Wolverine, those synergies are ridiculous, man. The Pyramid X one is really, really crazy as well. The Psylocke one is so good. Like the Horseman synergies for these particular characters are nuts. So that's why I've had to do like a separate icon on the tier list, the Horseman icon. And this is basically to indicate like once you get Apocalypse, you need to look into the interactions between these characters because they are mad, man. They just add so much more to every single character. And Storm, while she's like a bit of a dud without the Apocalypse synergy, with the synergy, she's like arguably one of the highest damage output characters in the game. So yeah, her synergy is mad, man. I really, really enjoy that one. But the Wolverine one is really fun. But yeah, I could go on all day about the Horseman synergies, man. They really are quite crazy. And then finally, the Cable synergy of Apocalypse is crazy good as well. You just spam heavy attacks, tons of degeneration damage. Kang gets like 500% more attack. So yeah, he just brings so much good stuff to the table, not only for him, but also like all of the mutant class as well. So Apocalypse, absolute banger, going straight at the solid God tier. But again, I think he has some potential, maybe over time, to earn that beyond God tier promotion. And then next up, we got Professor X. So Professor X on the tier list does have, ideally, the large benefit from Awakened ability, because if you have him Awakened, it's much easier to get up the channeling charges, and also you get more damage off your prowess as well. But also, he does have the high skill required icon, just because he's a bit of a tricky character to play at first, and requires a bit of mastery if you want to get the most out of him. But even if, like, you're not the best player, like, you can still see some pretty big numbers on Professor X, but he feels like a bit of a weird character to play at first, and it's going to take some getting used to. So Professor X, man, has huge burst damage with back-to-back special attacks and prowess that you can keep on stacking and scaling throughout the fight for just continuous damage ramp up. So after like a few special attacks, he starts hitting really, really hard, but again, in bigger fights like Labyrinth of Legends, for example, you can just see some crazy, crazy numbers. And also during Mind Control, which is kind of a special attack spam burst phase, the opponent doesn't gain any power and is also locked from using special attacks. And combined with like all his special attack bursts, this can be really handy for finishing off fights, because it means you're not going to need to bait out the special attacks and you can just go into like a mad burst combo and get your opponent down. It's really, really fun. He also has a great safety net with his falter mechanic, and this means if he gets hit, he causes the opponent to miss all attacks for 2 seconds. And this has a 20-second cooldown, so if you mess up, he's got a really nice fail safe there, and you can use this mechanic to be a little bit cheeky as well, like firing off lots of heavy attacks in the corner. So yeah, I really, really enjoy that mechanic, man. That was very fun to play around with. Also above 25 channeling, and it's so quick and so easy to get there. He completely bypasses all miss and evade mechanics except on tech champions, so characters like Invisible Woman, Nightcrawler, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen can just completely counter there. So really, really good for all those like annoying evade and miss scenarios. Also, he is fully immune to reverse controls as well, so a nice little bit of utility there. Most of his hits as well are non-contact, so you can almost fully avoid taking damage against matchups like Korg and Electro. He also has crazy synergies for all mutants and X-Men characters when ramped up. Probably the biggest con about his synergies is they don't affect Professor X. They affect every single other mutant character aside from him. So yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate, but the synergies involve stuff like increased power gain, special attack damage, also cheat death mechanic, and also heal for all mutants as well. So yeah, there's some really, really good stuff, man. But in order to ramp up his synergy, you do need to win 3 fights with him. And again, he's a great character to play. He's got a lot of burst damage output potential, but ideally as well, he does need like 3 matches to ramp up his own damage as well, because every single match you win, it gives you a Cerebro charge, and once you've got 4 or more, then you get max prowess off your special 3, and that's where you see some really, really crazy numbers. So yeah, Professor X, he arguably requires a little bit of ramp up. I actually might give him that ramp up icon, like thinking about it in a little bit more detail. But yeah, overall, great character, tons of great synergies. He's arguably beyond God tier as well if you're using a mutant power booster. If you've got 150% or 200% mutant power booster, this character is ridiculous, because what his mind control does is it discounts the cost of special attacks, and combined with a mutant power booster, you're just like pretty much infinitely spamming special attacks. So yeah, we did like a 6-star rank 3 showcase with that interaction, and yeah, I go watch it, man. It is really, really nuts. We just tore through so many bosses in Labyrinth of Legends with it. So yeah, he's pretty nutty with that. So yeah, overall, they smashed it with Professor X and Apocalypse. It's always so nice when we have a month where there are 2 really hype Marvel characters, and they just live up to the hype and become amazing champions in the game. So yeah, they absolutely smashed it, man. 10 out of 10 job to Kabam on both of them. So yeah, both great additions. Now, to round off today's tier list update, we have 2 promotions. The first one, Black Widow Clairvoyant, is finally being promoted to Beyond God tier. Black Widow Clairvoyant is just a character I can't deny the overall value that she has for a progressing player's roster. She's crazy for all sorts of stuff. Alliance War, Alliance Quest, stuff like Variant 5 and Cavalier, she's been really, really good for. So yeah, Black Widow Clairvoyant, I think, you know, a couple of months ago, she was probably deserving of that Beyond God tier promotion, but I've seen so many great videos, so many testimonies from progressing players about how much that she's done for their roster, that I just thought, you know, she deserves it, man. She's definitely earned it. So finally getting a little bit of justice there. And also another character that has been in a lot of work for players out there as well is Elsa Bloodstone, who I think very rightly deserves that God tier promotion. So Elsa Bloodstone, she just has a great mechanic where when you parry, she like evades and then instantly attacks in, so you can combo. So it really mitigates a lot of the block damage she takes and can be very useful for getting around all sorts of like annoying matchups, because it also counts, mechanically speaking, as an intercept as well, but also for dealing with like annoying evade champions, she can counter evade, and just is like really fun to play. She's got some satisfying damage output, a lot of debuffs for dealing with nodes and scenarios like Diss Track. So yeah, overall, Elsa, she's pretty versatile, got some good damage, very good for XL Science champions as well, quite nice for matchups like the Thing in certain scenarios. So yeah, I think she's somewhat deserving of that God tier promotion. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on the October tier list update in the comments section below, and if you did enjoy today's video, please do smash that like button, that'd be greatly appreciated. But aside from that, thank you all so much for watching, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.